Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday morning. Thank you again for joining us for another I Am a Triangle Live. We are here today with a special guest, Claudia Romo Edelman, and she is one of the co-hosts of the new podcast, Global GoalsCast, which is launching today.
Yes, we just launched, and I congratulate you for saying the name correctly. Everybody has some global universal cast, global host cast.
Well, Global GoalsCast, it's a perfect name because it combines podcast with the global goals.
Exactly, that's
Yeah,
exactly right. And
yeah.
we're delighted, and I love that you're to be in I Am Triangle, and to be the first person that I speak to this morning after we're launched. We've been working for so hard to get to this place, so I'm delighted to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you, and we're excited to see where this goes. One of the things that we feel so strongly inside the I'm a Triangle community is that we need to be able to impact the world that we live in. There are 17 global goals. Is that correct, that the UN has identified? We will put a link to those global goals if you want to learn more about them. But Claudia, tell us a little bit about maybe one or two of your favorite global goals, or the ones that are most meaningful to you.
Right. And if you struggle saying global goals, welcome to the Sustainable Development Goals. So
There you go.
these are, this is my favorite plan. And I come from being open and accepting that I am anal and compulsive and obsessive, and I love plans. I love to-do lists. I love order. So this is the best framework that I have seen. But not only me, it took 5 years and 193 countries to decide what were going to be the steps that were necessary to be able to do three main things. Eradicate extreme poverty, and we just know that we're going to be the first generation ever that can eradicate extreme poverty from the face of Earth. But we're also the last generation that will be able to stop and mitigate the impact of climate change in our planet before it's too late. And the third one, which is my favorite, is that we're going to be able to do it for all, not only for the few. And so 5 years took to come up with the steps that were needed and the goals and the indicators. So yes, 17 is an odd number, and it was launched in 2015 with 169 indicators so that we are able to measure them. And definitely this is the most historic treaty that I have the world has seen, like at least in 200 or 300 years. And this is the plan that we have. This is the master plan for the future of the people on its planet. But not only that, like there's no plan B, but there's no planet B either. So we just have to be conscious that the world needs to talk, needs to know what the rights, what the right. You and I need to know that we have the right for education, that we have the right to be healthy, to be treated, to go to a hospital and be able to be taken care, that you're going to be able to be safe. Those are our rights. Ligia, those are sorry, it's like Ligia, por favor. Those are our rights. This is like the ad, right? Like remember when there was the BBC interview and the kid was coming, the father was trying to, yeah. And my favorite ones by far is it would be impossible. I'm like I have a bias for education because that's literally where I feel the beginning and at the end are. I would love to talk about like xenophobia, racism, and actually treating each other as a human family as my number two. But in reality, is that it's interconnected. You can't say, like you really cannot say that when one organ of your body is not working well, it's not only your head that works. Really, you can't function when you have a headache. You can't function if like if something hurts. So everything is interconnected. For some people, some areas are more important than others. And the only thing I'm saying is, for me, this is really exciting because it's the master plan of the world. And being able today to launch a horizontal platform where people like you and I are going to be able to see the stories of the champions that are making progress, the people that are trying to make a difference. And it doesn't have to be this. You don't have to be a CEO of a company or a government or from an NGO and the head of UNICEF to make a difference. The stories that we're highlighting are from the people that you want to know that it's possible to do those things. We can, and you will see But it's important to know that there is progress, and it's important to know that you can make a difference.
Right. Well, and one of the things that I find interesting, if you go to the Global Goals, the SDGs website, the tagline that they share is that the goals are only going to work if we fight for them, and all we need you to do is share. And I think that might be a little bit simplistic, because we all do need to do something more besides just.
But watch out. I agree, but that's exactly what we're gonna be doing in every episode. We're going, and this is a fundamental issue here. One is we need to know that there is, in 30 minutes we're going to be able to tell you what is the situation about that issue. We're going to give you 3 things that you can be very smart about, so that you got yeah, mother-in-law, look what I found. So we're going to give you show of facts and figures, but the most important part is actions, and some very concrete actions that you're going to be able to take, if you're a company. And we're blessed with the partnerships of this podcast, but one of them is the action button. Is Bono, the singer Bono's daughter, is our partner, and she's actually providing all the actions for every single one of the episodes that we have. Because a lot of the times when you're listening to news, and trust me, the trend is that people are shutting down and showing off and saying, like, I can't take this news anymore. This is well beyond what I can relate to, and overall I don't want to listen to that anymore. But in case that there's something that triggers your attention, it's very hard to know what to do. What can I do about it? So Action Button does that, and they insert themselves into conversations like ours, not only with big media organizations and so on, to say, like, now, do you feel compelled to do something about it? Here's what you can do. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, and I like that in each of the episodes, I had a chance to listen to a couple of them before.
Oh, great.
Yes, and they're wonderful.
Do you?
I had a sneak peek. What I like
that you can hear them. Everybody can hear them today.
Yes, that's so good. And I will put up, this is a link. If anyone wants to go, you can subscribe to the podcast. The thing that I love about the podcast is that you and Edie share people's stories and you let them speak. It's their story in their voice. And even more than that, with those action steps, it does allow us to become more educated. Even if it's just a conversation with someone in the elevator, to be able to be that much more educated and aware. I think that's really important. One of the questions that I have, I printed them off, and I've got all of the global goals.
Yeah.
There's 17 of them, but then even inside of the 17, some of them have 5 sub-goals. Some of them have as many as 15 sub-goals. Do you think that any of them are closer than others to being reached? And the goal is 2030, so we've got 12 years left.
Yeah, and look, and that's and it depends on where, right? They're like, every year there is let me just give you the short answer and not the bureaucratic answer. I saw the bureaucrat in me coming out, my UN person coming out and say, like, well, look, there's a geographic typology, and every year we have a mechanism. But in reality is that we are advancing really, really well, and we have to keep on the pace with girls. Yeah. Girls, we are making progress on a number of fronts there. Like, we're advancing in terms of understanding girls. Data is magnificent. And we didn't even know, what was the girl situation really, because we didn't have the data to be able to count on whether girls were going to school or not. Maternal mortality is going to come in a convergence, between developing and developed countries, and that's fabulous. That means that in the past, in 2000, the gap, if you see this, the gap between a rich country, you were in a rich country, the chances that you would actually live if you had a baby were high, and if you were in a poor country, the chances that you die were high. Right. And now, the developed country is coming to a convergence point, and by 2030, I think that we are going to be able to have reduced maternal mortality to rates that are just beyond, believable. So I think that that's an area where we're going to keep on going. Health, is in some instances an area where we're making great progress in a number of parts.
Yeah.
I when I think of the number of people on AIDS treatment, and like HIV/AIDS is probably going to come to a place where it's possible to control it and nail it in terms of mother to child transmission. I am very excited in the progress of malaria. Malaria is amazing as well. So it's not that we can. It's not like you can't say, yeah, we've pushed so far right now. So before coming to the peak, you don't want to give in when you're almost there. This is the moment in which you have to accelerate. But yes, progress is happening, and in some instances, I think that we're going to be able to make the goals. It's hard to generalize, but it's important that we realize this is working. It's working. The plan is working.
What would you say for the people that are watching that say, now, Claudia, I think that this is all fantastic, but our family moves every 1 to 2 years, and we cannot get ourselves involved with something like this. We can't impact change because we're never in one place long enough. What would you say?
Oh, right. So again, listen, when we're like so open about like, please subscribe to this podcast as a way for you to be able to contribute this, because I've been working in the United Nations for 15 years, if not more. I know that what really, really shapes behavior and community change is when you when you have a group of advocates. When you all of a sudden, instead of being a citizen, you're an advocate, it's a whole different story. And I think that by getting people to understand these issues and to absorb their rights, you're going to be giving people the tool to say, like, I have a measuring stick here. It's not about the goals. It's not about the UN. It's not about the podcast. It's about the rights of every single citizen out there, that by knowing what they are, they can actually come and say, like, I'm going to put pressure on my government. I have the right to all of this. This is what my rights are. This is what they promised to do. They should stop fighting and doing nonsense stuff, and then just like going to delivering to citizens what the social contract, like suggested. And then the other thing is that by knowing what your rights are, you also have a high degree of rate of conversion in your behaviors. If you know that climate change, it's all of a sudden you just get it, right? Like from the awareness, and you become like, I'm going to do something about this. I promise you that next time that you go to a Starbucks, you might say, like, I'm going to buy a permanent cup. I'm not going to be using plastic cups all the time. You know what? In case I can, I will actually use the revolving door as opposed to the other door. You know what? If I have the choice, I will choose to be the best me for me and for the world. So that's why it matters. And so it doesn't matter where you are. Disseminating information and getting people to understand and talk about this is by far more important than we think. And the conversion between listening and being embedded, and that's why I love podcasts so much, because it's so close to you. There's the television is out there, the phone is right here, the podcast is right here with you, with your soul, so having the conversion rate between like listening to advocacy to behavior is high. A high rate.
And I think that one of the things that makes the podcast so special, and that's if you're joining us just late, it's Global GoalsCast, and the link to subscribe, which they're launching today. So it's so exciting to have Claudia on with us. But the beauty of a podcast also is it is so easily shareable. So if one of the future episodes really resonates with someone, perhaps it's the father-son interview that you did.
Oh, yes. Oh. So I want to talk to you about. So today we're launching with. Just let me. I just got thinking. It doesn't matter if you're in one place or the other. If you're moving, on the contrary, if you're, you can be a good citizen as long as you know what good citizen, what the to-do list is. Would have tell me something. You tell me something. If you would know the 5 things that you should do as a good citizen, wouldn't you try to do them?
Oh yeah, and
wouldn't it be easy if you would know that a company is better than another when you make your consumer choices?
Absolutely.
Like I tell you, this bank has a great heart and is doing great stuff, and this one actually is charging a lot for refugees and so on. Would it make your choice easier?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only would it make my choice easier, but then it educates me and plants that little seed in me so that I can also share the same knowledge with
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to say, no, it's actually geography is almost like working remotely. Is as efficient as, like everybody has a role to play. And the action I would like to ask your audience and everybody, subscribe to the Global GoalsCast, because we have, like I have been entrusted the confidence of 12 United Nations organizations. They have put their trust on me to get as many hearts and minds of people to be able to deliver the messages that matter the most of, like for the world, which are our planet and education. So I want to talk to you about that. But so yes, please subscribe. And that's the one thing that I think it's not like a like on Facebook where it's a fake citizen action.
Right.
This is really this is an elevated engagement series. So I really am happy to have that. Now, let me tell you, today we launched 3 episodes. The episode on education and girl that talks about a magnificent set of examples about how the youth is taking education in their hands, taking action, and they're not going to wait for anybody.
And that's Brenda's story, right? Brenda from Google.
Actually, Brenda from Google is fantastic. It's a migration. So we have Brenda from Google Migration, who's a Hispanic who came to study here, and she got an internship in Google. She worked her butt off to be able to get there. She worked in Google, and now Google wants to hire her regardless of her legal status or not. And if she cannot work in America, then she will go to another place like Canada but in that episode, we also have the latest facts and figures that I didn't even know about from migration, because they just like fresh from the oven from the Global Compact for Migration Summits. So it's a really good way to understand migration from a personal story to also the overarching situation of migration, which happens to be going to continue growing, and probably the political issue most important for 2018. The education and girls I love, because it demonstrates how we have a long way to go, but education in girls is really making a lot of progress. If visually you would put a classroom in 1950, you would have no girls. If you would put it in 2000, you would put, like one of the lines would be girls, and then you can actually how like it's gonna be full. The classroom by 2030 can be full.
Yeah.
Girls can be really have the capacity of the 50% of the class to be girls. So we're talking about like how to get there, the progress that we need to make, but also the story of 2 teenagers that found a girl in India that had no dreams. She never knew about a dream. She never thought that she could have a dream. And we're celebrating her, Preti, from India, who is going to college now thanks to these 2 other teenagers that started a new company called Nalu in order to provide uniforms for those people that needed a uniform as part of their it's an obligatory thing in countries, former British colonies that have that stupid legislation of having uniforms for everybody when they cannot afford them. And so that's the migration and education podcast. And now next week we're launching the 2 explorers, Robert and Barney Swan, father and son, that yesterday
Amazing.
the South Pole. And we have the story. We have the exclusive. We've been following them. We equipped them. They came and podcasted, like all their way through. And they're coming to Davos with us. They are on their way up, like from the South Pole to Davos. As Edie would say, they don't need to change their outfits too much, which is good. And it's an incredible story. 60 days, 600 miles, only on renewable energy, father and son, just to make the point that if you can survive in Antarctica for 60 days with renewables, you can anywhere. And just to also see firsthand how Antarctica is melting, how climate is happening, how we need to do something about it, how everybody has to do something about it. And so that's happening on the 21st of January.
Perfect. So how many episodes are live now, currently, as of today? I was just going to go.
So we have migration. We have the Sustainable Development Goals as just like as an intro. What are they and why am I obsessed about them? And then we have education and migration.
Okay. Yep. I just pulled them up. They're all there. It's so exciting.
Yes.
The world is on the move. And if you guys have not listened to these yet, the migration one is astounding. There's so many stats that I wasn't aware of. Even there's stats around what the amount of money that migrants send back home.
The remittance.
Oh,
isn't it crazy?
Amazing.
Is it crazy? It's
crazy.
like 1/3, like 3 times more than foreign aid combined in the world. It's just insane.
It is insane.
Like when migrants should go home, and I'm like, who's gonna pay for the foreign aid? You know, who's gonna send money to the other countries? Yeah. Really good.
Yeah. So we are going to have to wrap up because I promised we would only do 30 minutes. I will be sharing the link to the global goals so that everyone who's not familiar can.
You can actually just link it to the Global GoalsCast because we have them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we have them in our site. And if you're interested to know more about each of the different things, say that your heart, like goes for climate change or life on the planet or life under the ocean, you just click on there, and we have a link to everything that you need to know and you could know about. Our website will also tell you what actions you can take and the latest data. We have an incredible set of partners, and I think that I want to end on that note. We not only have the trust of the United Nations and a number of non-for-profits like Rollback Malaria and the trust of the Project Everyone and the Public Foundation and blah, blah, blah. We have, but also we're going to be distributed by CBS News Digital. But we have really interesting data partners. Our data partners are SAS and Cultural Intelligence, and they are the geeks of data. They are the ones that are going to be providing people like me data to play around. Like, so what about millennials? What do they think about climate change? And what about this? And what about that? So go to our website if you're interested. If there's a geek in you that wants to play with data, we have all the data ready to go for you.
Fabulous. Well, and I think it's important, like you were saying at the beginning, Claudia, it's so important for us to just know more. I was just looking through the SGDs include things like having safe and inclusive cities, ensuring water and sanitation. So there's probably, there's going to be something in one of the SGDs that applies to you or that really resonates with you or that hits your heart. So I would encourage everyone to go to, what is your website, Claudia?
GlobalGoalsCast.org.
Awesome. I'm just going to type that really quick and put that up. I would encourage everyone to visit the website. It's going to be something that you can learn, use the resources, and then subscribe to the podcast. It's going to be fantastic. Do you have
You're amazing. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just want to say thanks so much for this opportunity. Subscribe and give us rates. This is not about us. This is about, this is a collective effort. The more people know, the more we're going to have our rights fulfilled. So please share, please rate, and just go ahead and don't hesitate in sharing it with different people. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Claudia, thank you so much. Have a really good launch day, and we'll see you in the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.